Welcome everyone. We have the amazing Sherry Griffith with us. She is the Regional Vice President of Business Banking in the Toronto region, as well as the executive sponsor for BMO for Women.
Right.
So, wow.
Yeah, no,
Always a fan.
Excited to be here today.
Wonderful. And you have some incredible news. Today is all about you in the recent initiative for women entrepreneurs. So
exactly.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, no, we recently announced that we set aside $3 billion in capital again, earmarked for women businesses.
Wow.
It's fantastic. We did this actually the first time back in 2014, and we originally did it for a 3-year period, and we set aside $2 billion, and we actually went through that $2 billion in about 1.5 years.
I know.
And so it was with incredible speed. We funded
Wonderful.
a lot of female entrepreneurs, and so doing it again this year made sense, but we increased the amount from $2 up to $3 billion.
That is incredible, absolutely incredible. So I'm a woman entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And of course, funding is always, the beginning, middle, and ending of everything.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Sure. No, absolutely. We actually did 2 studies, research studies that really spoke to the concerns that women business owners have around access to capital, access to funding. And I think that's part of the reason why we have this initiative. We have a BMO for Women website that has a lot of tools and a lot of things that can help kind of direct folks around some of the challenges they're faced with. But I think ultimately for women, we want them to know that our doors are open and that we want them to come and speak to us. Because when it comes to applying for credit, there's not a different process for women compared to the male colleagues we have come. So it's not like we have a different place that people come in for this capital. It's more the perspective of we want to encourage women to come in, have the conversations with us, allow us to work through the process with them. It's really important that women come in prepared, that they have a plan, that they know what they're trying to achieve, that they're looking at the numbers in front of them, that they can forecast a little bit around what their expenses look like, what their revenues are going to look like, have a good understanding of the profit margin they're working within, because they need to be successful. I don't think anyone starts a business and has the courage to do this without having a goal of trying to be successful.
Of course.
And so we want to support that. And I think there are some things that people need to understand when you come in, and we've had this conversation a few times around, making sure that you take care of your credit score.
Yes, yes.
It's not a deal breaker in the sense that if you have some issues with your credit, doesn't mean that we can't work with somebody, because sometimes we may recommend a guarantor because of that.
That's right.
But it's not always the case. I think, oftentimes...
It's not a deal breaker.
No, oftentimes people need to understand, come talk to us first. We have the experience. We can give you some advice on what you might need to look at. So credit scores are important. Making sure taxes are up to date are important, that you've got your house in order, things like that.
You do your
come
homework.
With a plan, do your homework. I mean, you're the expert in this business that you're starting.
Show us.
But we can be your expert and partner around the finance piece. And, I think often women only come to us thinking they need money to borrow from us. But we can actually help women even when they don't need money to borrow.
It's really more of an investment,
Exactly,
right?
Because there's still, on any business, you still need to be able to facilitate payments, you need to be able to send money, receive money, you need to be able to have an account that operates well for the business that you're in. And we can do that. So it's really holistic in how we help. It's not specific to just capital. Although we go to market that we have this capital available because we want to encourage women to come and speak to us. What we often find with female entrepreneurs is they wait until much later to come to us for funding, and they self-fund for a much longer period, which I understand. And there's so many folks like that, and I think that's great. It shows their commitment, right? But I always encourage women, talk to us sooner in the process. Doesn't mean you necessarily need funding now, but have an understanding of what that will look like. Build the relationship with us so that we can help give you advice when that time comes. And you'd be surprised sometimes what women will learn from that.
No, and you schooled me on that as soon as we met, and you're absolutely right, because on one hand, yes, you cannot think that you're going to start a business 100% funded by someone else, right? Like there's an element that you need to invest in your own enterprise, and you need to believe in it, but also view, I think as I'm listening to you, is not to see it simply as someone's going to lend me money, but it's more of someone's going to invest in, because you're taking funds that would have potentially gone to somebody else,
Right.
that now are being invested in this enterprise. So when you're coming, think of it that
That's
way.
good. That's a great way. I really
right?
like that, Caroline,
Yeah,
because
just-
I think I look at it as a partnership.
It
And
is.
so, you know,
It is.
you're coming and asking for us to invest, but
Mhm.
so we're going to ask a lot of questions, but we
Mhm.
are also here to guide and help give you some advice on how to
Mhm.
get that funding you need or how to get where you want to in the business. So.
And what I like also what you said too is because I meet a lot of women, right, in this, the business I'm in, business we're in,
Mhm.
so I get a lot of feedback. And one of the things that is really important is to know that yes, BMO for Women is there to understand, I guess, a little bit of the history and
Mhm.
address some sensitivities, but it's not different. So when you go in, you're not asking anything different of you that they would a male counterpart,
Correct.
right? It's just simply doing it through the right sensitivity, so it's actually a good thing.
Well, and I think we've done a lot of work around these research studies to
Mhm.
understand the differences
Correct.
between men and women, and that we're trying to help train and educate our workforce internally to be prepared for that, because there are differences
Mhm.
in how they approach things. And I
Correct.
think we're here to help with that, no matter which approach we're looking at.
That's very true. Very
Mhm.
good. Thank you. We use the word qualify.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's no such thing as qualifying, I guess, is especially if we go back to the metaphor of the investment or
Mhm.
the perspective of the investment. So a business plan, you know,
Yeah.
is a good idea. Getting
Absolutely.
your house in order is a good idea. Pay your Revenue Canada, pay your taxes, property taxes, like
Yeah.
any, you know, it's compliance,
Yeah,
right?
normal
You have
things.
to be compliant. Just now, when two people come together,
Mhm.
right, and one has as partners,
Mhm.
they need to be true partnership, right?
Right.
Like it needs
Yeah.
to be incorporated. It needs to be some kind of
Partnership agreement.
a
is
partnership
usually what it is.
agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, now the rules would apply equally to all the partners.
Yeah, when we have folks come in, you know,
Mhm.
we'll have sometimes sole proprietors,
Okay.
a woman on her own or a man on her own come in. Sometimes you'll come in with partners.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll come in as a corporation, fully incorporated.
That's right.
And so there's different business models.
Mhm.
We're, you know, certainly prepared to look at all of those business models.
Okay.
And so again, we look at the individuals involved, absolutely. So individually, to your point, you know, really
Mhm.
make sure that you have those things thought out.
Mhm.
But then we look at the business itself and what is
Mhm.
the business doing? How is it going to be profitable? What does the cash flow look like?
Mhm.
And really planning the future of that and
Yes.
understanding what that looks like. Coming to the table to us and have that conversation, understand, I always look at it as we're your experts on that side,
Mhm.
just as much as you're the expert in the business you're setting
Mhm.
up, we're the experts from the finance side. So
Yeah.
come and get some advice from us. You know, don't be afraid to come early and have the conversation about something you're thinking about next year,
Mhm.
because we can help prepare you for that ahead of time. Give you some
true.
advice, give you some thoughts to think about. Have you
Mhm.
considered this? Or perhaps introduce you to a partner that might be able to help you in a different way. So I encourage people to consider us part of your team,
Mhm.
not somebody who's, you know, on the side of your team. We're here to walk with you through that and involve us sooner, have
Mhm.
the conversation as quickly as
And
we can.
fully
And
disclose.
fully disclose, because
Fully
then we
di- I
can,
always say that at the
yeah,
same
then
time.
we can
Fully
actually
disclose.
give you the best
Yeah.
advice. And I mean, I have this question often because it doesn't mean that we're going to approve every transaction that we
Mhm.
see. There are some times that we decline.
Mhm.
I always look at those opportunities as, even if we can't help you today,
It's not forever.
It's not forever, exactly. And it could be, here's what needs to happen
Mhm.
for us to be able to finance.
It's
But
check
if
in
we
6
can't,
months, it's
yeah, if we
check in
can't
a
be the
year.
ones to finance it today,
Mhm.
sometimes there's some other folks we can introduce you to that
Mhm.
maybe could. There are a lot of options on the marketplace,
Mhm.
but what we can do is give you some advice around which ones might be best for your business and for you personally.
And you have a great team.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Sherry, of course, is one of our keynote speakers at our upcoming conference,
Mm-hmm.
and oftentimes a lot of members of her team are present.
Absolutely.
So it's a great opportunity to meet, put a face to the bank. You know, we touch
Yeah.
based on that, and you guys are sponsoring, full disclosure, but there's always that sense of there's a face to the bank,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's you know, it's a human to human connection. So that is something that personally, I've experienced only with you guys, and I know all banks are great, or there's good and bad to everything.
Yeah.
But it's the only time I've experienced that.
Yeah, I always just say, give us a shot. We're here.
Now, when you own a business and when you bring all the paperwork to you to review and to your team, it's not gonna be Sherry personally looking at everyone, because it is important, because I get a lot of emails that come to me after all the time saying, can you introduce me to the lady that spoke at your conference?
Yeah.
It's like, Sherry has a team.
I have a lot of people that can help. So.
And they're all wonderful.
Yeah.
So, but what I was going to say is, I was introduced by a colleague to a very important question when meeting with investors, right, and potential financial partners, is you got to know, how do you find your clients and how do you make money of it?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
Some people call it a marketing plan.
Well, when you think of business plans, that's kind of a framework in the business plan. And I know on our BMO.com site, there's actually some tools there, how to set up a plan. But it really is the basic questions of, what's your business?
How do you find your clients?
Where are you going to find the clients? How are you going to make money?
How is it going to sustain?
Yep.
Is it a one-time transaction?
Yep.
Is it membership based? Is it cyclical? There's simple questions, because I know the concept of a marketing plan and a business plan intimidates a lot of people.
It can,
right?
for sure. But I encourage folks to talk to us. Put together maybe a draft and meet with one of our bankers and ask for some advice. We actually see business plans from all of our clients, right? So we have some great examples of ones that we can give advice on. So don't be afraid to ask those questions.
Sure.
Like, we're not expecting, especially someone who's starting out or who is newer in this process, we expect them to come and ask us some questions. It's not like we expect them to come with this beautiful plan.
I am the minister of
Here we go.
finance.
If that's the case, I would be surprised, honestly.
Yeah, no, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's also a really key point in the process, and I don't want to make it too analytical, but it's really important to understand the process.
Yeah.
Is that when you come to BMO and you meet one of Sherry's team and they sit with you and they guide you, is the reason they're guiding you and they're asking so many questions is because this project, this venture, that needs to be presented to the folks that take it to the next level, right? That look at risk, that look at market, they look at everything.
I was gonna say, we have a whole team of analysts.
Correct.
The analysts actually put the actual application together. So
the
they take all those numbers.
Yeah, the person that you meet is almost your agent within the bank, right?
They're your representative.
Correct. Still
Absolutely.
needs to be presented. So it's important that they have all the information so that they can present the best case for you to the people that make the decision, right? To the next level.
Yeah.
So
And I always encourage folks to don't be afraid to share maybe the bad news or the concerns.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, to your point, people are afraid to be fully honest with us because they think that's going to hurt their application. To be frank, it's better to be fully transparent and allow us to address the concerns.
Because if there's an explanation for whatever happened, then it's okay.
But again, if your relationship manager is taking your application forward, they need all the information to do that. Good, bad, ugly, no matter what it is, because we can put that together and we'll be honest with you about the process, right? So I think you have to be honest with us at the same time.
That is amazing. And I know you're going to have a lot more to share about this specific program and just about all the other initiatives, because there's so many more. And we look forward to having you at our spring event and our fall event.
Looking forward to all
always
of them.
try to get Sherry there.
Always.
Every time we can.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time and for really championing women, and congratulations on your appointment to BMO for Women. I know you'll do us proud.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.